Nobody realised how quickly a city could change until that Thursday afternoon in Tottenham. It began with a single shooting, police opening fire on a man they said was tied to gang activity. The reaction at first felt contained, almost fragile. His family stood outside the police station, holding signs, their voices steady, their grief heavy but calm. For a moment, it looked like the kind of protest any city could absorb. But tension spreads like a spark on dry grass, and in London, the grass had been drying for months. Within hours, anger turned into shouting. Shouting turned into crowds, and crowds turned into something much darker. Streets that usually echoed with buses, tourists, and impatient horns now shook with a different sound, glass breaking, metal crashing, sirens wailing as if they were pleading. By late afternoon, the unrest jumped across East London, hitting Hackney first. One moment, officers were standing at a cordon. The next, they were ducking behind shields as bottles came flying out of nowhere, smashing on the pavement. Someone cheered, someone else screamed, and just like that, everything tipped. It felt like watching a match touch gasoline. The explosion was instant. Breaking news alerts lit up phones. London is burning. At first, people assumed it was exaggeration, another flashy headline. But the footage that followed didn't need words. Flames leapt from shop fronts near King's Cross. Smoke curled across the skyline in thick black ribbons. It didn't look like London anymore. It looked like a warning. A city pulled back in time to its own darkest moments. It all began at 6:42 p.m. A protest that was supposed to be small, symbolic, peaceful. It gathered outside a migrant processing centre. People holding signs with tired faces and quiet determination. No chanting, nothing dramatic. But when police moved in to disperse them, the atmosphere snapped. A bottle flew, then another, and then everything blurred into panic and fire. Someone set a police van alight. The blue light still flashed as flames tore through it, reflecting off the smoke like something out of a nightmare. The crowd surged toward the barricades, shouting, "Protect our kids!" Officers stumbled back, shields trembling under the pressure of bodies and rage. Within minutes, live streams were everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Telegram, dozens of angles of the same chaos. The hashtag Britain Burns exploded across social media, and while everyone online argued about what was happening, Westminster was quiet. Too quiet. Behind the curtains at number 10... aides whispered into phones, ministers shouted, and the entire government seemed to be holding its breath, hoping the storm outside would magically die on its own. But London didn't calm, it ignited. By 7 p.m, unrest spilled into Shoreditch, Camden, and then south across the river. A fireball erupted outside Brixton Station. In Canning Town, an overturned police van slid across the asphalt like it had been pushed by a wave. A government billboard in Westminster was torn from its frame, dragged into the street, and set ablaze while people chanted around it. Every new clip threw petrol onto the digital wildfire. Reporters tried to label it civil unrest, but no one watching believed those two soft little words. What unfolded looked like a city unraveling in real time. From Parliament steps, you could see smoke drifting across the Thames. From Canary Wharf, flames flickered in the distance like the edge of a broken world. At 8:47 p.m, the government finally spoke, a single bland paragraph from the Home Office claiming the situation was under control and urging people to remain calm. The reaction was instant disbelief. Under control while half the city was on fire. It was like telling someone holding a burning match that everything was fine as flames crawled up their sleeve. Leaks from police command centres hit social media minutes later. Internal messages, screenshots, warnings. One line stood out, morale collapsing. Units retreating, South Bank lost. A journalist caught a moment that sent a chill through millions watching. A police officer, helmet cracked, visor smeared with soot, staring dead into the camera and saying, "We're not controlling it anymore." Then the video cut out. By 9:15 p.m, London felt like a battlefield. Sirens bounced off empty buildings. Buses were abandoned in the road. Shops slammed down their shutters. People scavenged whatever they could carry. Journalists struggled to film without being shoved or screamed at. The anger wasn't just directed at the police anymore. It turned on the media. the government, anyone who looked like they were part of the official story. A drone captured a haunting aerial shot, the Thames black and quiet beneath the city glowing orange. Parliament sat in darkness except for the flicker of riot fires dancing across its walls. Inside Downing Street, panic reigned, ministers arguing, advisers pacing, phones buzzing non-stop with updates none of them wanted to read. One aide ran in, pale and shaking, whispering, "They've breached Trafalgar Square." The Prime Minister didn't respond at first. Finally, he whispered, "God help us." It didn't sound like a statement, it sounded like a confession. By 10 p.m, the unrest had spread beyond London, Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds. Like warning lights blinking on a national map, migrant hotels were surrounded, police stations barricaded, Bristol erupted, Nottingham followed. Helicopters thumped across rooftops as crowds chanted, "We are Britain." It no longer sounded like protest, it sounded like declaration. Then came a moment that stunned the entire country. In South London, a line of military veterans stood between protesters and the police. No signs, no words, just a silent wall of men and women who had once protected Britain abroad, now standing guard at home. One veteran looked into a camera and said, "We fought for this country once, we'll fight for it again." That clip hit 10 million views before midnight. Inside the BBC control room, pandemonium. Producers whispered that Downing Street wanted them to tone down visuals and avoid the word riot, but it was too late. The footage was everywhere, fires swallowing Shoreditch, cars overturned in Croydon, mothers live streaming from balconies screaming, "Where are the leaders now?" At 10:42 p.m, the blackout order came. TV networks abruptly switched to technical difficulties. Social media throttled key hashtags, but people found ways around it. Mirror uploads, file sharing, private groups. The truth kept slipping through the cracks. As the sun rose, London looked bruised but alive. Smoke hung over the river, but beneath it, something more powerful moved. A sense that the country had witnessed itself. A raw, unfiltered reflection. A journalist ended her broadcast with a line that echoed across Britain. The system didn't fall tonight. The people stood up, and when they did, the government blinked. And somewhere in that new silence, a voice called out through the fading smoke, "Stay awake, Britain. This isn't the end. It is the reckoning."